Welcome back. This is episode 2 of Average Joe's Antics. In this video, we're going to be plumbing fuel line, we're going to be removing brake lines, and we're going to remove that rear differential cover to find out what gears are in the rear end of this car. So, stay tuned, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell to get notified for when we upload our next video, and let's get to it. Alrighty. Let's start with our fuel line here. A lot, but let's start. We got our black line here that goes off the carburetor. We got our fitting threads on right here. Now there's a hard line right up here at the front we got to tap into, which we're going to do that here pretty soon. First, we got to get it measured out and cut. Once we get it cut and where we need it, that way it's not pulling on this fitting here. What you want to do is you want to leave it enough slack so that way it doesn't pinch or pull or do anything like that. I'll get you in here and I'll show you what we're talking about. Okay, so here's our fuel line that fills the bowls on the carburetor, and this connects to the front of it to feed fuel in. Anyway, there's a metal hard line right there. You can just barely see the tip of it. You want to leave enough slack in this and cut it to where it's not pinching, whatever you want to call it, the line right here in this fitting. Because if you do that, you're going to cut the amount of fuel flow going into that carburetor. So we're going to get this cut right about there. Now the cut braided line, you have to run tape around it and actually cut it with a hacksaw, preferably a hacksaw, because you can make slow, concise cuts. So we're going to go ahead and get that taped off, marked off, and we're going to get it cut and have it set up. Stay tuned. Alrighty, we got it marked on where we want to cut it. I'm going to take it, put pressure on it with the vise to hold it in place, and then take our hacksaw and cut it. Just like that, she's cut. Now the reason you want to tape it is because the braid that goes all the way down the line, it will fray if you don't tape it, and then you'll just have a mess of spaghetti wire and braid going everywhere, which is not pretty. Okay, now we got to take this fitting, slip it on here, we got to take it apart essentially, what we're trying to do. Just like that. This, essentially take this, slips over your braided line. If you did it right, it should slip over. Not too much shit in my hands, hold on. I actually had to retape it and readjust everything to be able to get the shank to slide into the hose. So now okay, now we take our fuel line here, we come right here, thread it up, just like that, and then we take this one, Thread it on. Just like that. Now, our fuel line is there. That's the line that comes completely from the tank. Now we're actually going to have to cut the line at the back of the car so we can put the fuel pump in, mount it to the frame, and then run more line up to the fuel pump. That way it'll pump it from the tank all the way up to the carburetor. But everything in between the pump to what we just tied onto the carburetor is all steel. So that's a plus. So stay tuned. We're going to jack up the back of the car, and I'm going to get that line cut back there so we can get ready to mount our fuel pump on the frame. Okay, so we made a mess. The gimbal died. Anyway, this fuel line, what we're going to do is we're going to put the pump right here with a plate, comes off, and this pump's going to sit here mounted to the floor. We're going to run a line from the fuel tank over to one side, and then the outside we're going to cut this fuel line like right about here, run another hose off of it up to the pump, so then it's pushing fuel all the way up to the front of the car. Now, we're sort of at a standstill till I get some more strap and everything to mount that. But what we are going to do next, pull this rear differential cover off. Okay, now that that's taken care of, we'll put a bolt in the fuel line. It shouldn't flip out anymore. Knowing my luck, it probably will, and you'll get to see it all over again. Okay, so got in here, looked at the pinion and the ring gear. The ring gear has 41 teeth and the pinion has 15. You have to figure up the math. Remember,
big divided by the small.
Yeah, you got to take the big divided by the small. Once you divide the two, it should give you the gear ratio. The gear ratio is not as big as I was told or led to believe. It is only a 273, which is a highway gear. Meaning you could stab it at 60 and maybe pick up some speed quicker than going at it from a dig. But nonetheless, that just gives us the capability to work with more stuff and change the gearing in the rear end to make it what I want. So that's taken care of. The last thing we're going to do is start pulling brake lines. Work on getting this block and a couple of these lines in this compression fitting off so we can run back and get the lines headed towards the back of the car off. And we'll probably leave the front ones for now because when I get the kit in, we're just going to go ahead and replace them. That way I already have the parts, but this one with the compression fitting needs to go as soon as possible. Alrighty, this is the last fitting we need to take out so we can get that brake line out of here. Alright, I think that's going to wrap it up, folks. We got the brake line out that had all the compression fittings and everything in them. Took the diff cover off, found out that it was not 373s or 355s for that matter. It in fact was 273s in the gear ratio. I mean, that's a super highway gear. I mean, you could smash it at 60 and pick up some serious RPMs and speed, but at what cost? So we're most likely going to add that to the list of things to do is put in a locker and a new set of gears. Probably, I'm thinking on the gear ratio, we'll think about it and get it figured out later. But we did get the fuel lines plumbed up at the carburetor. I have to get some flat strap to set up to mount the fuel pump at the back of the car. Until next time, that's all she wrote.